Wow, wow, wow. LeAngela Aitken, it's been far, far too long, and I'm thrilled and ecstatic to be able to interview you here today. You know, there's a lot of students that come through OBM school, but you, my love, definitely left an impression on me because you come from such a rich corporate background as an online business manager, and you transitioned from corporate to OBM without anything in between. So LeAngela, thank you. Welcome to the show. And I'd love for you to take a second to just introduce yourself. Where are you from? And what were you doing before you became an online business manager?
Okay. Sarah, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I went through the program. So I'm LeAngela, and I am an OBM in Melbourne, Florida. I've been here in Florida for about 5 years now. I moved here to be a caretaker for my mom and sister who were having some health problems, but I moved here from Cleveland, Ohio. I jumped into the OBM world, sort of like just jumping into the deep end of a swimming pool, never having learned how to swim before. So I was really outside of my comfort zone. I have some what I believe are amazing skills. I have really a heart of service to people. So most of my corporate life, I've been in a role of leadership, also, of course, moving up through the ranks to getting to leadership. But what I learned the whole time that I've been working is that I view myself as someone whose responsibility is to make someone else's life easier. So I took that approach in corporate. I took that approach when I moved into the nonprofit world. And that allowed me to, even though I wasn't a VA or had done any virtual work ever, I think that's what allowed me to move into the role of an OBM, because my mind has already been set on making life better and easier for someone else. Every supervisor, manager, leader I've ever had, I've always had a conversation with them to let them know that I viewed my job in whatever capacity I was in. I always had this conversation that I view my job to make your job easier, because I know when you are comfortable with the work that's being done, my life is going to be easier. I get no grief from you if I make your job easier. So that's the approach I've always taken.
I love that. I love that, LeAngela. And it was such an honor working with you throughout OBM school, because you are and were a shining star. And I love how you've had this underpin of confidence in your skill set throughout the entire time. You know, I think in OBM school, we really worked on getting clarity around the services and what you were willing and not willing to offer specifically, but you always had that drive. You always had the confidence. You knew you were going to be successful. You just needed the right clients. And I feel like you've always known that. It's sort of permeated from your existence. And, I think it's been 6 months since you completed accreditation?
Almost 6 months. It was in December of 22. So we're not quite at 6 months. But the thing about I'm just so excited that I took the leap to go to OBM school, because I have skills, but they were segmented and directed in specific areas and structure in OBM school that I had never done before. I learned how in OBM school how to methodically and systematically build from nothing to something in specific areas, whether it's marketing or launch management or project management. There were specific skills that you helped bring out and you led us through the program that never connected in my entire, career.
Isn't that strange how it works like that? It's sometimes I feel like I say this on the daily, but you can't see the label from inside the bottle, as they say. And I feel like you were really an example of that, because you had all this wonderfulness inside of you. But from the outside, whether potential clients were getting confused or you were leading with the wrong service, we needed to get clarity around that so that you could go forth And really, I think the best way to say it is to really spread your wings and do something that was so meaningful. And I remember periods of time well inside the program having conversations with you around how you were moving and shaking in the real world and just creating these collaborations with your own community locally. And I can't wait to talk about some of those things because I know it fired me up and it showed me the possibility of what happens when, incredible people come together. But I think it's important to know that in this crazy mixed up world that we live in today, that there are still really good things to look forward to and people who are doing incredible things, which leads me to my first question for you around your client niche. So tell me a little bit about the nonprofit world. And for those businesses listening here to this or watching this on YouTube, what can you say about how an OBM can really benefit a nonprofit?
That's a really great question. So just a little bit more about my background. I spent about 18 years in corporate America and through a downsizing during mid-2000s, 2009, 10, 11. There was a great downsizing. And so when I left corporate America, I said that the next thing I wanted to do was to, be in a role where I'm doing something to help others. I spent a lot of time making a lot of money for corporations. This time I want to do something to help others. And so I ended up in the nonprofit world shortly after maybe 2012. So I've been in that arena for the past 10, 11 years. And what I learned is that nonprofits do a lot with a little. And very few people have to do so many roles. And the mindset of nonprofit, in my experience, has been that, we have to do it this way. We don't have any money and we just have to pull up our bootstraps. So 2 things about nonprofit. They are really great at fundraising. And they're really great at doing a lot with fewer resources.
That's like a great client to me.
Yes, exactly.
And smart about stretching a tight budget.
Right. What they don't really understand is that budget that they already have can be better utilized by parsing some things out to other people to do on smaller projects, some project work. You don't have to hire someone full-time in your organization to get the work done. And so that's something that because of my experience in nonprofit, I fully understand the struggle and the inefficiencies that exist in nonprofit. And I want to bring to the nonprofit industry, to my community, to smaller organizations still working in corporate or startups or whomever, but I want to bring to them solutions of how they can operate more efficiently and how they can have more time to spend in the world of helping the people that they want to help and less time in doing the grunt work of how to get that help. So because of my experience is why I've really gravitated towards nonprofit as being an OBM. There are so many technologies tech stack that we talk about, that we learned in OBM school, tech stacks some are free, some are, little to nothing to acquire, that will help them be so much more efficient and automate some of the processes that they have, or, to manage their donors or manage their volunteer base, that will really allow them to have more hands-on opportunities in the communities that they want to serve, doing the work with the people that they want to help.
It's amazing. It's so amazing that you're able as an OBM to make such an impact in this world. And I know that it's very buzzy to be like, we work with impact-driven entrepreneurs. And I know that that's a goal for a lot of online business managers because we're so, we're heart of service and we want to give back and we want to work with nice people. But you are really doing it and you're really working with, I feel like the nonprofit world is really what makes the world a better place.
Absolutely.
So it's incredible that you've been able to recognize that your skill set is in nonprofits, because I remember when you came into OBM school, I wouldn't say that you were rejecting the nonprofit, but it wasn't in your perspective.
Right.
You're like, well, I'm starting this new career as an OBM. Maybe I should look at other options. So I would love for you to tell the story of how you sort of considered the different options and how ultimately you found yourself back almost where you came from, working with nonprofits, and how that might have felt like a full circle for you.
So you're absolutely right, Sarah. When I came into the program, I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to find the clients that were going to be a good fit for me. That was my biggest fear. Like, where do I find clients?
I remember that distinctly, yeah.
Where am I going to get these people from? And who's going to believe in me? They don't know me this way. And I've worked my career based on collaborations, partnerships in the community, getting to know.
That is you. That is how when I think of you, LeAngela, that is what comes up in my mind. Collaboration and partnership and community. Because I know you are very much driven with people in that way. You're a people person.
Yeah. And so I was scared. I was really afraid, but you kept encouraging me to just keep going. And we kept, looking at different things. And these are, some things you can do. And here's the communities where you can go to online, through Facebook, through your connections with people that you already have. But I was focusing specifically on what you've taught us as our stepping stone clients. And all of those clients are in corporate America, right? I just didn't know how to find them. People in my cohort, they had clients. They came from the VA as VAs to OBMs, which is something that I never did. So I've never had any experience working with anyone virtually or how to find clients working virtually. So I was nervous because we would be in our sessions and everyone's talking about their clients, this, and this is the issue that I'm having with my clients. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, when am I going to have this problem?
I want that problem.
This problem.
So funny. Isn't it funny in retrospect? Like you think you're never going to get that first client. You think it's never going to happen for you. You're always going to be confused. And yes, to a degree, we are always confused, but that's because we're constantly pushing the envelope of what can be our own businesses.
Yes. You just wouldn't let us not keep pushing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that Sarah, and you are just amazing. The school, the other participants in the cohort, those before me, those who came after me, we're creating our own community with this, helping each other, sharing best practices on our private Facebook group, through that whole connection. I had to embrace that which I already knew and that experience that I already had and not try to push that aside to do something else. And somewhere along the way it clicked. Well, it wasn't just me. It was still the pulling from my community that I had already created, the one that I created, but I was a part of. I was still having pulling from that community, the nonprofit community, that I was really trying to walk away from for no reason. Except I thought that this other area was my niche. My niche is this thing that I love.
Yes.
This thing that I've been doing, this thing that I know so well. And so that's what clicked for me. And I was on TikTok. I was doing all kind of crazy things on TikTok, Sarah. I'm so serious. I'm way out there. My son saw me on something. He was like, Mom, what are you doing?
What are you on earth are you doing?
I mean, this is a 30-year-old man that somehow ran across me on TikTok. And he was like, Mom, no.
Mom.
So, I was trying all kind of things, but in reality, some people are good at that. Some people are great with Instagram, all of those things. I'm present, but I'm more present in the community that I know. And so I'm getting referrals, word of mouth, more people are calling me.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I too in the program remember the shift that happened with you. Like I did, it was like a period of time, and we can talk about the catalyst for that, because I'm not even exactly sure if it was one specific thing, but I know it comes back to your community. But suddenly it just clicked for you, and it was almost like opening a floodgate. What happened that elicited such a strong shift in not only your mindset, but in your reach and your ability to connect with your community in, I guess, a new way? Because you've always been in that community, right? You weren't new to that community.
So my previous job before jumping into this, I was a center director at a community center that literally I, along with the other employees, opened this facility, brand new, in a blighted community in Palm Bay of Florida. And the organization is called the Evans Center, and its mission was to solve the problem of food insecurity.
Wow.
In the community. And so the programs that we were doing there and the food that we provided to the community was key. And so I was out and I was in the community and I was talking about the programs, and I was just being a voice and a face of really bringing people on into that center. There was also a health clinic as well at the community center. There's also a classroom for job training. So we were doing a lot there. So, once again, I was the face and the voice, in the community, just bringing people in to know that this resource existed.
Natural skill set. You're just such a natural.
So when I left there, for a short time, there was a void. But because I was the one who was the face when it opened, I was the one who was out there during COVID, passing out food to families. We put together a drive-through where they came in and we served them hot meals in their cars. We would give them to-go boxes. And so because there was a short void before someone else came into that role. And when one of the employees opened a food truck and he was having some struggles, and I saw that, and I went to him and I told him, look, I want to help you with a few things to help move your business along. And it was then that I was out again in the community, doing something. And it was then that people were like, oh, how are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing? And then I started talking about being an OBM and what that means. And I started getting more inquiries. This person who has the food truck started talking about what I was doing for him and helping him with his business. And he's also in the community. So, he started just sharing about what I was doing for him. They trusted me. People started calling me for different things, help with this, that, and the other. And then, it clicked. It just started to click. And then that was when I realized I don't want to walk away from this.
No.
This is what I've been doing for the last 10 years.
And that's what you're really passionate about. Yes.
I love it.
Yes, you do.
I love doing it. What's in it for me is I know where I came from. Mm-hmm. I know the struggle from my childhood to where I am right now, and looking at these young people and knowing what the struggles are right now in our country as far as economics. Yes. And the opportunities that they have, it's a hard road. So it's just perfect for me. Yeah. Nonprofit is where I belong.
I love that. I love that because, a lot of the times we say part of figuring out your niche, if there is a niche, and I lovingly joke that I niche on personality, but truly, if you have a passion for something and your why speaks back to you, when I was a child and I would have needed something like this, and being able to really tie it back to what genuinely makes you tick and, where your heart is, I just feel like you can't go wrong. And so for those of you listening, and maybe your brain is exploding because you're thinking about, wow, in corporate, I did X, Y, and Z, or my passions lie, or my why is this. Maybe I should, find clients that align with that specific why. And that part is where mine is.
One other thing I would like to say also is that I connected with a co-working space as well.
Oh, yes. Talk about that. That's juicy. I remember that too. Where you are right now, where you're sitting right now.
That's exactly where I am right now, is Groundswell Startups. And it's mostly high-tech community. But what I love about this whole ecosystem is that it is a give first community, right? So there are experts here in all kind of high tech. They're in defense and aerospace and aviation and engineering and all kind of crap that I know nothing about.
When we don't want to know also. We're not interested.
But if I need help, we have a Slack channel, and I could ask, I'm having trouble with this. Does anyone know, how I can get this fixed? 2 or 3 people will chime in, and I've got a solution in almost no time. Wow. I'm saying that to say this. Don't be afraid to connect with someone else and share your knowledge and experience with them as they share it with you. And you can continue to build your network of resources that way by being willing to give to someone else, not always for pay. Sometimes, yes, sometimes the pay is so much greater when you have someone that you can go to who's willing to share their knowledge and their experience to help you get over a hurdle that you would have to pay a whole lot of money for. So being in this community has really helped me expand my vision that way as well.
Yes.
I'm not going to give the store away, but I'm definitely going to be a part of that give first
entrepreneur. I love that. And you've always said that all throughout the program. So I love that we're able to kind of have this conversation. And it's so interesting to me because I know that we have many people who start off in the corporate space and move right to being an online business manager. What did that look like for you? Like, what was the time in between? How long did it take you before you landed your first, let's say, paying client? Because I know that you obviously gave a lot of value first.
But I did struggle with that. So first of all, I was stalking you during COVID.
You're so cute.
I did. I knew that there was something else I wanted to do, and how I ran across you online. But I was sitting at home just like everyone else on the computer for hours and hours and hours every day.
Yes.
I ran across you somehow, and I was like, online business manager, what's that?
Yeah.
And I did some research, and I saw there's not a whole lot of people doing this.
Right.
And this was in 21, I guess. I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
COVID.
I know time is
I've lost a couple of years, but anyway.
We all mushed together.
And then I stalked you and stalked you and stalked you until I did save up enough money to go to register for your school, which is the best thing I've ever invested in myself, period. Okay.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is. College was great. It was theory. It was theory. I got out on the real world.
Yes, the accreditation. So you start off in the accelerator, and then I do remember that. And then you moved into accreditation. You went all in. You went all in.
So from the time I started school, which was 6-month program, I would say maybe at the 5th month.
Oh, wow.
I got my first paying client. Now, everybody else was moving warp speed ahead of me.
There's something about that flavor. I always tell people, yes, people are at different levels. Some people already have clients. Some people have a really rich corporate transferable thing. There's, I think, excitement and potential that comes from looking at others, but then there's this other edge of the sword that can feel a little bit intimidating and discouraging.
Yes, it was, because people were talking about money issues, and their money issue wasn't the same as mine. My money issues. I wasn't getting any. And they were wondering, how am I going to move this person from a VA role to paying me as an OBM? But it was all good for me to be in those conversations so that when I get to that space, if I ever get there, I mean,
when you get there, because
yes, but I mean, not from VA to OBM, but really just how to learning practically how to deal with clients who don't want to pay you your value.
Right.
And being able to stand firm on your skills and your knowledge and your confidence and your ability and the need that you're going to fulfill for them, the solutions that you're going to provide for them. For you, you're going to save people so much time and so much money. I just learned so much in how to deal with those conversations. But it's so much easier when you're doing something that you love, you can share. You can bring out those solutions.
So
easier.
5 months in and you land your first client, which was a nonprofit.
Yes.
Was a nonprofit after you had, I think, dabbled in trying to kind of venture into new industries.
Right.
So you got your nonprofit. So what did that look like after that? Was it like a snowball effect? The clients started coming out of the woodwork. When did you really feel like, I've got this business is solid? Because I want these day in the lives to show potential OBMs and clients who want to work with an OBM what it really does look like in the real world and not just theoretically per se.
Correct. So my very first client was someone that I had been working with, helping them out with a lot of things. In my doing that, they were able to spend more time doing other things.
Only the things that they can do.
Only the things that they can do.
Yeah.
And that meant that in doing that, they were began expanding their organization. This particular person then started getting invitations across the country to go and speak.
Wow.
Right. It's an environmental.
I hope we have a case study about this somewhere on your website.
I'm writing something. I am because
that really does highlight, wow, I was able to get them back time to do only the things that they could do. And now they're scaling, wildly successful. Amazing.
To be honest, this person is the executive director but she does almost everything, fundraising, event planning, and she's really an amazing mind in environmental justice.
Wow.
Again, she's a part of the community that's providing solutions for food insecurity.
Wow.
Right? She's just growing leaps and bounds, right? So
you were playing a huge part in that.
And she's just teaching me so much about that subject matter and how all of us have a role to play in it.
And I think this is why it's so much interesting than just being in corporate, right? Because someone might think, well, why not just stay in corporate if you're doing all the same things that you were doing? But it's not the same. You have autonomy. It's meaningful. You can choose. You can say no. You can walk away.
And it's long lasting. It's long lasting. The work that's being done right now in the community through her organization is going to last for generations.
Wow.
It's purpose here.
Getting like goosebumps because that's so powerful.
And I'm not saying that I did this for her because she's driven enough. Right. It's just that I've taken some
You gave her back some more time to do more of that.
Yes.
Time is the only thing we can't get more of, right?
Right. And so just doing follow-up work for her, and I'm blocking time with her weekly that we have conversations. Sometimes she's like super busy and we don't get to talk. And then I'll get a phone call from her and say, look, I just need to talk to you. And I'm like, I need to talk to you too, and so because we're so busy, she's so busy. So that's what I really try to do in my daily operation for myself, because I want to bring on more clients. I'm blocking time specifically when I'm going to do interviews, something like this, or have discovery calls with potential clients. I block time away for that. I block time away during my day where I'm working specifically on my business as well, because as I bring on more clients, I'm learning where the holes are in my own business that need to be fixed. fixed.
The most beautiful byproduct of being an online business manager is you just get better at doing business overall. You know, whether it's your own marketing, your own business development, you start to realize that, you know, you have to put time back into your own business in order to continue to grow, in order to support more people. And now you are, you know, if I'm calculating correctly, like 7 months into having clients, you've still got this client on your roster and you've got other nonprofits that you're working with. You said that you have more room for more potential clients, which is awesome. If you're a nonprofit looking for a killer OBM, you got to talk to LeAngela on the directory over at obmschool.com/directory.
Yes.
But tell me a little bit about financially what this has done for you over the last 7 months. Now you have paying clients, you've sort of overcome that block, you know, for lack of a better way of describing it. The ball is rolling. What do things look like now? Like, how do you feel? What does your family say? I mean, your son who's laughing because you're on TikTok, but you know, I mean, you can laugh, but like you're making it, you're landing clients.
I'm definitely making it happen. I've set some goals for this year, for the next quarter and for my fourth quarter. I'm not taking on too many clients right now because I really want to, I have space right now for more clients for the next quarter, next 2 quarters. But financially, I'm able to exhale a little bit, right? Right? Because I've been holding my breath.
I know.
For a while. I've been holding my breath. I'm moving intentionally right now, not to get a bunch of clients, but to really be impactful for those who I'm working with right now. Because as I've learned through my OBM school, I want to leave any organization that I work with better than it was when I came in. Mm-hmm. And in doing that, I'm being very intentional in helping them with the assigned projects that we're working on, as well as strategically looking out the next 6 months, the next year, and making recommendations on how they can continue moving forward with me being right there by their side if they want, or really just, you know, providing them with a program or, you know, a project management strategy that they can, you know, implement. I will help them implement if they wanted to bring on new staff members, whatever the case may be. But I'm able to exhale somewhat right now. And as I continue to take on more clients, I'm looking to breathe more. I spend probably about, right now, I would say maybe 30 to 40 hours a month. Right now on client work.
Okay, that's nice. I know, because I know you have a lot of passion projects and family.
Yes. I've got that to manage as well, you know, as well as myself, which I haven't, you know. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I'm really passionate about making sure that I'm putting together plans for the organization that I'm working with, leaving them with a plan and helping them to understand that this is forward-looking. Nonprofits often get into being on their heels in a lot of cases, but, you know, really being able to project out and look forward and plan those things ahead will, you know, give you, you know, the space that you need to breathe and really work at the mission that you have set out to solve.
What a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I know, you know, from, you know, leaving them with the proper strategic plan and the automation and the systems and all of this magicalness that you bring into clients. And also the way, because I remember when you were in the program, just listening to you speak about the co-working space and the community, and you were really putting yourself out there. And I really love that about you, because you are very charismatic. You're also a very like caring human being, you know, whether it's with your family or, you know, just with the other individuals in the program. And it's like, it's such a pleasure for me to work with students like yourself, with online business managers like yourself. I think that if you guys are listening to this and you have an opportunity to work with LeAngela, hands down, like you're an incredibly experienced person. And I say this all the time, you know, there's so many talented women that come in from these rich corporate histories, and they come into the OBM world and they're like, I'm just going to put my corporate thing over here in a box, and I'm going to go try this new thing and this challenging, you know, instead of kind of like taking pieces from their corporate box and applying them to new potential OBM clients. So if you were to give advice to that corporate individual who's maybe listening from their desk or on their lunch break and thinking to themselves, can I really make this work? What would be a piece of advice or a few pieces of advice that you could give this individual?
I would say, first of all, that you know yourself. I mean, truly, truly, truly be honest with yourself and what your passion is and what you love to do. Sometimes, we want to do something because it looks like it can make a whole lot of money for us, but it's a struggle to get there because you're not tapping into what makes you perfect as the individual, skillful individual that you are. So I would say, first, be honest about who you are, what you love, and not be influenced by what someone else thinks that you should be or you have the potential of being, which could be true, but that's not your passion, right? That's what I would say first. And then I would say do a little research about specifically OBM school. I cannot tell you enough, like what the support looks like in this community, how Sarah and her team are all givers, freely sharing their expertise with the cohort. They hold nothing back.
We don't.
They don't hold anything back. They give it, and they bring in so many other experts as a part of the program that give to you as well. They have workshops, just so many resources are available through there. I would say do those things. And if you feel in your heart that you really want, you have it. Yes. You have it, but you just need someone to help you develop.
That's what I always tell people. I'm like, it's inside of you. It's not about reinventing the wheel here. It's about leaning into the skill set that you have. And I always tell people, and I will scream this from the rooftop, no two OBMs are alike. Right. I know a lot of OBMs who work in the, not a lot, but I know a good few OBMs in the nonprofit world. They're all very different. They have different skill sets, different backgrounds, different history, but they all really lead with the things that feel natural to them. And it really makes for a unique online business manager. And you, LeAngela, are, I think, as unique as it gets. And
thank you.
And it's really been a pleasure to work with you. And I think for those who are listening, how can they learn more about you and about working with you? Where can they find you online?
So you can find me online. My website is obmprofessionals.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I am LeAngela Aitken, OBM on Facebook. Once again, I'm on TikTok, but you're probably not going to see much of me there anymore since my son has banned me from there.
Shame on him. Kids these days.
And also, I have my cell phone that's with me all the time that I'm not afraid to take your call.
Nice.
I would be, it'd be wonderful to talk to you. You'll be speaking directly with me. And my phone number is 216-543-5961. So you can find me in any of those places. And the last thing I want to say specifically to nonprofits is that I will help you build systems that will put SOPs in place so that, any employee coming on board will have processes and procedures that they can see and refer to that will help your business run the same way every day, all the time. If you're there, if you're not there, those are the things that I like doing for nonprofits. I will help you automate some of your processes that you have in place right now that will, again, give you more time to spend in your community doing the things that you want to do and still get the work done. So those are the things that I want to do to help you. Please call me, go to my website, and you can schedule an appointment there as well. I would love to talk to you and just explore, what things we can do to help.
I love that. Thank you so much, LeAngela. And thank you for
Sarah.
Sharing your wisdom. We'll leave all of those details in the show notes below so that you guys can get in touch with LeAngela. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you for sharing this moment with me and for sharing a day.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Lovely, lovely, lovely seeing you. Bye.